Love and hatred, all a part of life on this land. Once upon the land, there was no meaning in looking up. There was nothing worth looking up at there. Nothing worth exploring. That place was the domain of those who indulged in fantasies. Those with their heads in the clouds. But now, each and every person lifts their heads, looking up at the beam of light connecting heaven and earth, looking up at the once untouchable sky. Among the stars, within the artificial constructs that appear so small before the torrent of light, brews the human ambition of this current epoch? I've never had to say that word out loud. Kristen. Sure enough, you set this plan into motion a long time ago. Everything you did for the DoD was a fancy show. What's the principle behind all this? The efficiency and stability of this high-energy confinement field. I have never heard of anything like that before. If I recall correctly, you boasted that you were the foremost expert in high-energy physics when you joined Orion. One of the foremost experts. My God. You should thank your lucky stars, Saria, that there's nobody like Kristen in your field. It's just not fair. And yet she doesn't even bother to publish these results. The hammer is currently charging. According to the military's Horizon Arc project, once the charging phase is complete, all of this energy will be focused and undergo excitation a second time to deliver powerful wide area strikes. Sure. How much longer will it take? Kristen turned the project dossiers into scrap paper. All I can say is, it won't be long now. This is our last chance to stop it, as well as our last chance to stop her. What are you standing around slack-jawed for, Sir Ferdinand? Time isn't on our side. Saria, take a look at the densiometer over there. The needle seems to be fluctuating a lot. No, I'm not talking about the needle. The wobbling is a normal phenomenon of high-energy confinement fields. I'm talking about the unit of measure. You can take a guess how many times larger this unit is than the one on my instruments in my lab. The energy it absorbed just now is enough to power every single one of Columbia's nomadic cities for at least 6 months. And it's showing no signs of stopping. And we're now in the center of the laboratory, carrying this tremendous amount of energy. Even if Nasty is a genius, she can't create a receptacle that stores energy in amounts beyond the realms of cognition. In other words, no matter what direction it ultimately focuses the energy in, once the second degree excitation begins, this lab won't be safe from the consequences. Her end goal has never changed. If her ultimate end goal is the sky, and the sky can only be contested with this amount of energy, what exactly is up there? That's none of my concern. All I know is, this is a reckless experiment, and it's doomed to fail. Sorry, there's nothing stopping you from packing your bags, finding a nice hillside with a great view, and enjoying a drink while you watch this fireworks show that may well go down in the annals of Colombian history. That isn't going to happen. What about you? You were never the risk-taking type. Me? Looks like my old friends are coming, and they'll be here sooner than expected. You're right, though. I'm not taking any chances. The technical manual has the location of the escape pod, and I know where it is. I'm not particularly interested in seeing the one who fired me, and it's not like you need my help. An opportunity to document high-energy physics phenomena of this magnitude is rare, and I don't intend to pass it up. Maybe you'll see a new paper from me in the journals next quarter. I promise. It'll be era-defining. Unlike Kristen, I don't tie all my intellect to my personal grievances. The fact that she's co-signing all this knowledge to the grave, knowledge that could transform Terra's entire academic landscape, that's something I can't abide. Do what you need to do, Saria. We don't have much time. Stay safe. Ferdinand. It's been a while, Colonel. I'm not surprised you survived. But if I were in your shoes, I'd pretend to be dead. Get the hell out of Dodge. Go to Victoria Lithanian. We'll see your skills. You can always pick up a teaching job. I didn't expect to hear those words coming from you. Let me say this one more time, Ferdinand. It's over. I've already spoken with the Vice President. The DoD's defeat is absolute. As for whether or not this whole situation can be salvaged or who controls my fate, I actually don't care that much anymore. Let's save some dignity for each other, Ferdinand. Get the hell out of here and I'll save a crossbow bolt for myself. Huh? What was that? Sorry. My mind wandered for a second there. Also, you're blocking the radiometer display. This shaft here runs a lot deeper than I expected. I'm afraid the military simply failed to fully understand its structure. Right here is where the transmitter's response is the strongest. You. What are you doing here, Silence? Professor. Parvis. Silence. The location of this lab is supposed to be top secret. How did you manage to find your way here? Silence tries hard to open her eyes wide, discerning the things in the room. In the corner of the room, an instrument is humming as if breathing. A transmitter sits in a transparent tank, bobbing up and down. Across the room are several books with black covers. As if sensing Silence's presence, the transmitter increases its activity. A strong wave of dizziness makes Silence furrow her brow and shake her head a few times. Ah, that's right. You have your own transmitter. These reactive tendencies. You injected yourself with a transmitter, though I'm not surprised. Does it cause you occasional discomfort? An entirely normal response. I also have it inside my body. It can be quite overwhelming for an old man like myself. But it shouldn't be a problem for you, youth. Still, this is the only way to better control the reaction process. Don't worry, once this experiment is over, the long-distance intertwining properties of this batch of transmitter will be lost. And they won't affect the long-term health of the injected. What experiment? You're conducting an experiment here? Silence. Did you hurt your hand? Does it get in the way of your work? Fine. Then I won't ask any more questions. Now is the most critical moment. That you found yourself, or that you found your way here. Might just be the help I've needed. I was just complaining how much easier the data processing would be if you were here. Lately actually, never mind. Tell me, what kind of experiment are you running? There has only ever been one area of research I fully dedicated my energy to. Chimerism. Precisely. This is the last question to be answered in chimera research. But this is... Professor, what are all these documents? The text on them seems quite evil, right? This is an ancient Sarkos tome that records the history of a certain ethnic branch. That Sarkos branch not only enjoys long lifespans, but can even transcend the shackles of physical form and exist in the world in a purely spiritual state. They have been dubbed the Revenants. The pronunciation can be a bit esoteric, but I'm sure you'll be able to find some records in Victorian. Silence. Have you ever considered what chimerism does at the level of the soul? A soul chimera? These revenants are the so-called soul in ancient original arts and Sarkos witchcraft. Can they be produced a posteriori? I don't know what that means. Are you trying to create an artificial consciousness? You've always been my finest student. There's something I've been working on for decades to little avail. That is, until Ferdinand told me that he and Dorothy had jointly produced this particular transmitter. You can't begin to imagine how excited I was. Silence. I was absolutely sure that the properties of the transmitter were sufficient to form the soil from which artificial consciousness would be born. However, in this land, disturbances will always exist no matter how sophisticated the lab is. These disturbances have plagued me for the longest time. There's so many possibilities. Perhaps the energy used to excite the transmitter wasn't sufficient. Perhaps the laboratory was not sealed off enough. Perhaps originum interferes with the generation and aggregation of consciousness. But none of that matters anymore. All mysteries will finally be unraveled today. This will be my final research project. The most optimal research environment is about to take shape. Professor Parvis, you were responsible for using transmitter to solve Arco 1's accuracy control problem. That is, the new transmitter core. Kristen wanted to do something she saw as taking a risk. She thought her work to be meaningful. I hate to be a critic of my peers' efforts, but let's be honest. We researchers have been cowards for far too long. Mediocrity, boredom, risk aversion, indecisiveness. Silence. Those of us with the knowledge and ability have to do more than just explore or progress. We carry science upon our shoulders, are commanded by it, are driven by it. It requires us to take on responsibilities that only a strong soul can endure. Usher in a new era. Usher in a new era? Silence. You deserve to be here with me to witness this crowning achievement. Soon. Very soon now. The dark ages of mediocrity will come to an end, and the pantheon of science must return. You're shaking all over. I've rarely seen you like this. Is that so? Perhaps the transmitter's reaction is getting a bit too intense. Maybe I really am getting too old. I'm sure you can relate with me, Silence? Yes, I can. I can see you've really been looking forward to this moment. Of course. Then, there's one thing I have to make clear. I will destroy this transmitter core. What? I mean, I'm putting a stop to everything that's happening here. Whether it's controls plans or just your personal ambitions. All of this has to be re-examined. That's what I'm here for. That girl shook your allegiance to science. But I've always believed that you had the makings of a researcher. And as such, I never really blamed you. But this time, whether or not this is some ridiculous joke, I'm not going to stand for it. I'll have you apologize to me, Silence. I won't take back a single word I said, Professor. And I don't think I've done anything wrong. Be it back then or now, what you people are really after is wanton power. That's absurd. You couldn't be more wrong, Silence. That's right. Say what you will about me craving power. Because I know what kind of research is important. And what kind of research can shape the future? What? Are you gonna regurgitate that old platitude about science belonging to the masses? No! Let me tell you, Silence, that science belongs to the Ubermensch, the Supermen. The mediocre can go elect their politicians and kiss the feet of their betters. But only science is above their meddling. What about you then? Are you part of the Ubermensch you aspire to? That ship has already sailed for me. But if the consciousness I create is rational enough, grand enough, then it can. It can't, Professor. If you don't even have faith in humanity, what makes you think that this nascent consciousness can supersede everything? You don't understand. You've poured your heart and soul into the field of chimeric research, attempting time after time to craft powerful creations through bioengineering. Is that all because you can't run from your own weakness? Me? Silence, I won't allow you to throw baseless speculation around like that. This is my last hope to break free from mediocrity. I didn't expect to see you here, my former defense colleagues. That's right, Director Saria. Former colleagues. We are now employees of Components Control Section. Components Control. You aren't allowed past this point. You're doing a better job than last time. I appreciate the sentiment. You all know what Kristen is trying to do. All this accomplishes is, I don't know and I don't particularly care. You know my ID number from Ryan, Saria. 011. That was before Jara came. Kristen and I interviewed you, James. Back then I had offers from other companies, including Volvort Koczynski and Beachbrella. But I didn't give them a second thought. Because I always believed in you. You and Kristen. I believed you two were different from the rest of them. That was just your ego speaking, James. This whole place is about to crash. I'd recommend you hurry up and grab an escape pod. I'll wait here until the moment we crash. But before that, want to see something spectacular, Saria. Nasty described it to us. Saria noticed the entire corridor shifting. Is that... I've never seen the land from this high up before. The hammer has begun altitude adjustment. Out of the way, there's no time. Damn it, what's going on? This blasted thing's spinning. If I had to guess, this would be the altitude adjustment mentioned in the technical manual, which is a step right before the secondary excitation. Sir, do you need my help? Why are these doors in the corridor shut? Where's Ferdinand? He slipped away just now. Go after him. Are there no defense systems here, other than the partition doors in the corridor? If I had any say in it, this place would be stuffed full of power armor. Freeze, Ferdinand. Gotcha. I need you to leave me alone, Colonel. Every minute here is precious, and dealing with you would waste all my energy. I thought we were peas in a pod, Ferdinand. Sober rationalists who would weigh the pros and cons before making a decision. Looks like I had the wrong read on you. Come with us. The beam excitation is reading 1.22. A constant should be introduced here to renormalize the entire formula. What the hell are you talking about? I'm laughing at you, Blake. I'm laughing at how pathetic you are. Your power, your medals, your rank in the DoD. You never lost sight of those. But now we're standing at an altitude that few have ever touched, surrounded on all sides by scientific miracles. Just by reaching our hands out, we're on the cusp of plucking new formula from these instruments. Take a good look. Here. All the honors and accolades you've clung to are so small. So insignificant. And what about your Ryan Lab, Ferdinand? Haven't you been fixated on that? Let me make a correction. I've been fixated on what Ryan Lab represents. Ryan Lab is my toolbox, my ladder, my arm. But it is not my purpose. In case you've forgotten, I can proudly proclaim that I am one of the finest high-energy physicists in the land. No. In both the land and the skies. What I've been fixated on has always been science itself. Kristen. She created all of this and let it go to waste. Truly a prodigal genius she is. And I envy her. But I also have to admit, it's been an incredible ride. And so, each and every second of my time is insanely valuable, and I can't afford to waste a moment on you. Listen to me, Ferdinand. Don't forget who you take orders from and who gave you your new lease on life. Colonel, do you know how to stop a curious scientist? You either satisfy him, or you kill him. Alright. Get it over with. Don't waste time. One last thing I'd like to remind you of, soldiers. The hammer will crash after reactivation, taking all of us with it. All this data might mean nothing to you, but your lives, I trust, are very important. If you want to know where the escape pods are, you shouldn't be in such a hurry. As for you, Blake, I'd save an extra bolt. Either for yourself or the one you answer to. Doesn't matter to me. Just don't break my instruments. I've been memorizing the basic structure of the central nervous system lately. Over and over again, from top to bottom. Isn't that one of the assignments they gave you in intro biology course? Yes. It's one of the absolute fundamentals. If I were to ask this question to any of my students, they should be stumped for even a second. Oh, should they be stumped for even a second? I would drop their grade down to a C. But these days, I haven't been able to recite it from memory. Not even a single time. I keep stopping part way. I keep forgetting. I keep starting from the top, going around in circles. Every morning I sit from 5 to 7 at breakfast, at the breakfast restaurant across from the Rhine headquarters, and I give it my best shot. My nerves are deteriorating. Everything I've studied my whole life is now abandoning me in this moment. Maybe in 5 or even 3 years' time, I'll become a demented old man who can only bask in the sun, having forgotten all the pride and fulfillment I've enjoyed over the past 58 years. Silence. I refuse to go out like that. Professor, my fate is already sealed. Now get out of my lab. Don't you dare touch it. No. You speak of Ubermensch and strong souls. People like that might actually exist. People capable of transcending time, limitations, and this very land itself. But Professor, you are no such man. Your words are of the weak, mediocre masses you so ridicule. They are the desires of a human, transcending time, limitations, and this land itself. In the midst of Minos and Jirag, gods are the bestowers, masters and desires of all things in creation. But science is by no means a god. It is just a path for people to traverse. It needs to be examined from time to time, repaired from time to time. and reined in from time to time. The fruits it bears should not be the grandiose visions of megalomaniacs, but precisely the mediocre expectations of the masses. No. No! Get away from it, Silence! It's over, Professor. What you need is rest and recovery. After this, I'll take you to the hospital. Oh shit, that's savage. The transmitter hub has been destroyed. Beat your experimental Kristen's plans. Without the transmitter, there shouldn't be... Transcending this very land. Yes. Perhaps. I made another tremendous achievement that I even did not notice. I just happened upon it, without investing much time into it. As a matter of fact, it doesn't even arise from one of my own projects. But that doesn't matter, does it? Of course, why hadn't I noticed? We've all been drawn by her from the very beginning. We've always walked the same path. The old man stares blankly at the display panel. On the monitoring screen, the giant man-made ring suspended atop the sky's zenith is illuminated by the beam of energy, gathering within it a majestic platinum. Perhaps because the transmitter hub was destroyed, or perhaps because the scouring of the beam was too intense. The hammer starts to shake slightly. Why has the transmitter signal not stopped? Let me ask you, Silence. If you have no way of becoming a leader, then what shame is there in being a follower? If I admit my weakness and indecisiveness, then it is a perfectly valid option for me to follow a truly strong soul, is it not? This was meant to be my backup plan, but now, what are you doing? I've suffered mediocrity for too long. I must. I can still catch up to her. She too must shine. All my hard work, all of my pursuits must have meaning. At least, this is much better than becoming a vegetative old man. The energy density is already sufficient, as long as... Professor! Parvis, what are you doing? Silence feels the transmitter's influence on her fading. At the same time, the consciousness of the elderly Caprine in front of her is rapidly dissipating. When the transcendent one sets out on her journey, I do hope that on her long, long path she won't mind being followed by a timid hitchhiker. At least, I can become a part. Silence. Look. Are you merging your consciousness with the transmitter? To make up for the hub's destruction? No! Track this data. What's going to happen if the phrases are thrown completely out of order? How do I stop these responses? Professor. Parvis. This is completely futile. Your consciousness can't be preserved within the transmitter. This transmission will only destroy your nervous system. A faint sigh. Perhaps a chuckle. Parvis's body has become an empty shell. No longer host to any conscious will. All his attachments, all his cowardice, dissipated without a trace. Professor? Within the monitor, the trembling of the hammer seems to gradually calm down. He completed his experiment in a most unexpected way. No. How could this... Silence. Silence! Silence, are you in here? So you really were here. Step back, I'm coming in. I finally found you. You had me scared to death, Silence. When I saw you snatch the car keys off those soldiers and floor it out of there, I knew you were about to do something really, really dangerous. This place is crazy scary. Not only is this place crawling with soldiers up above, but I even got a little real jump scare from that exploding energy beam. Ifrit, why are you... To save you, of course, duh. Did you know what? I learned how to drive? A real shame you didn't get to see my mad skills. With my driving skills, I might even get bumped up to elite op. What's wrong, Silence? Why is Parvis here? Why isn't he moving? I don't know. In the end, he achieved his goal. On the other hand, I haven't really achieved anything. I was thinking, had I been more decisive, had I been more determined, Ifrit, how am I supposed to stop people like them? Such powerful, brightly shining souls. Will I never be able to reach Saria or Kristen? Stop joking around already, Silence! Ifrit, frantically? Is that supposed to be frantically? I don't know. Frenetic. I've never seen this word before. Grab Silence by the collar. This isn't the Silence she knows. You're the strongest woman I've ever seen. Rosemontis is pretty powerful and so is Blaze. All of Rhodes Island operators have their own special skills. But you're the best out of them all. Silence. It's because you've done so much for me that to be honest, I don't even know where to start. I pushed through everything. You and Saria both. You overcame it all. I know what you're trying to do is really huge and really complicated. The guys you're trying to stop might also be really powerful and really hard to deal with. So that's why you should let more people help you. They have so many helping them. So should you have to fight all by yourself? Obviously. You have me. And Saria too. We're here by your side. Silence looks at the kid in front of her. Compared to 3 years ago, her complexion is much more robust. Her body is also stronger. And her entire being brims with vitality. The girl's health is the product of her own efforts. It's just... when did she get so tall? You're right. I need to get ready. I have to keep going. And you? It's because of you. The shaft's output may be nearing completion, but it won't be safe in this building. Come, Ifrit. Let's get out of here. Also, someone's waiting for us to pick her up. As rudimentary a toy as it may be, the spear of a secondary civilization breaking through the sky for the first time was enough to render this nascent world dumbfounded. Dr. Rain, regardless of how you see yourself today, you will find you need to hear the truth I speak. I chose to forsake my duty. I chose to forsake these lives that I have overseen for nigh immemorial eons. They are your kin. Thus, you have the right to know. That is all. My kin? It's been too long. Are the shadows of that civilization still deep within your memories, Dr. Rain? Have any fragments floated to the surface? Wait, that ain't Amiya. What? That's that Amiya cutscene, but it's not Amiya. Doctor! It seems like there is at least something there. In any case, there is no point in rehashing the grand visions of the past. Just use your imagination, according to whatever impressions still remain. But regardless of what you remember, we ended up with far fewer survivors than you might imagine. From great desperation was the Preserver Project born. Special life support devices, unshakable underground fortresses. When the calamities receded, they would be the seeds of new life. But destruction came, sooner and more overwhelming than anyone could have anticipated. Though at that time, people had already come up with certain methods. Most of them failed to understand, including she who stands beside you, let alone the blank slate that is you. We were born out of desperation and not fully prepared. A pure advanced AI would only increase the risk. So one person made the ultimate sacrifice. This one volunteered to remain permanently trapped in a cage of consciousness, was an electronic cloud, forever locked in an immovable sarcophagus deep underground. Your consciousness is... me? Correct. But none of them will ever wake up again. They lost that ability long ago. Even though you have no memory of who you are, you feel a part of your body spasm violently. A dull pain travels through your heart to the palm of your hand. For a moment, the name of this emotion eludes you. Your daily life at Rhodes Island often making you forget the quandary at the core of your existence. Kin. Doctor? Kelsey hesitates to speak. You want her to say something to comfort you. You want her to be as omniscient as she always has been in the past, offering you solutions, answering the questions you've always had. But you see only doubt and sorrow in her eyes. Sorrow is an uncommon emotion for her, even less so if that sorrow is for your sake. If you came here only to stop Kristen, turn and leave. Nothing is going to stop us, even if the meaning of her death is itself but a gamble. I've already made up my mind. The memory bereft Dr. Rain and Amaten, who has managed to survive to this point. If you have no other responses, then we have nothing more to say. No. No. What is it you want then? Do you wish to recover your memories and the truth? Or do you insist on stopping Kristen? You can't accomplish any of it. Your amnesia is hardly so simple. You are just being pushed along numbly, thinking you've acquired faith and new ideals. Ignorant hope is but the harbinger of despair, something we know so very well. Why not enjoy your hard-fought renewed lease on life, and instead insist on broaching the truth? Do you really know anything about this land? The threat from the ocean grows day by day, while the mighty Agaran civilization remains arrogant as ever. They might be powerful now, but they still underestimate the ocean. Though the demons in the hollows deep in Sami's depth show little tendency to expand, they cannot be ignored. They are like cracks entrenched deep within the ice, presaging a collapse that may occur at any time. But these are only the fringes beyond civilization's soil. They were never the immediate cause of our slain future. Inequality and prejudice, war and strife. The people are far from understanding the value of unity, are fundamentally unable to set differences aside differences, and old grudges to talk about peace in the future. Even when catastrophes descended, the cogs of Ursus's war machine did not stop turning for a moment, and the peasants of Casimir's were not exempted from brutal punishment and taxation. Unity is an eternal dilemma, even today. There are those who cry for the wars of old, yet refuse to face the suffering as well as those who died in vain. They may not even be able to see these words. It's too soon. They are still too weak. A few lucid individuals do not represent the entire nation. Columbia will soon seize their desired advantages from Kristen, expand their appetite, and extend their hypocritical forks and knives toward Bolivar, Sami, and Sargon. What Kristen did is a far cry from a feat of strengths, scoping out the future of humanity. Even a slight deviation, and all of this will become but a clarion call for the next round of conquest. Is that what you, Amaten, Kelsey, think of Terra now? Fine then. I understand. For one who has walked with the civilizations born of this land, your opinion holds referential value. Since you each have your own reasons for not wishing to budge, then let us test each other using the ancient ways. Compared to pure rhetorical persuasion alone, I will need some more basal opinions to evaluate your qualities and revise the plan. Provided you are qualified. Whatever you say, buddy. Debate. Allow me to explain in advance that the things you've brought up are not outside my knowledge. Through Columbia's databases, I have heard of this history. But I must reassess whether the two of you have the qualifications and the ability to warrant discussing larger plans together. Whether or not Terra can remain in the hands of people like you. Whether you have the right to debate the future. The time Kristen spent here with me goes beyond language. Hold on, you two. We are about to begin. This place. Dr. Rain. You really don't remember me? But just now I was... Yes. This is just our cognitive resonance. Originally, this technology was supposed to be used to check the vital signs of those sleeping in the sarcophagi, or to preserve their dignity. Just like entering your dreams, shaping your dreams. For you, I am that dream. So you're really just an illusion created by the machine? Close enough, but there's still a fundamental difference. Just as the philosophers and interlocutors did in their palaces of old. When thoughts collide and words are exchanged, cognition intermingles, and the boundary between self and non-self blurs. You currently play the role of the doctor in your dialogue with me, but in reality, I am the one who plays the doctor, whereas you are actually me. But your consciousness is continuous. This is not equivalent to the illusion in front of you, or your own image changing. The only word that can describe this sensation is dreamlike. You will not see a cold, impassive machine calling itself preserver, and that will not see the helpless and dazed you. It is only in dreams that our subjective perspectives are no longer distinct. Come, don't forget that this manner of cognitive resonance has a humorous name. Debate. Oh, of course, it is your subconscious mind that finds this word humorous. Push open that door. There remains a question we must resolve. A question? No, it's not that I'm trying to test you. By all means, this is not one of Preserver's scripted question and answer sessions. One of Kelsey's rhetorical traps. The one who will pose this question is Dr. Rain. What's that supposed to... hold on. You, yourself, After losing your memories, you quickly got accustomed to life at Rhodes Island. You've always known that Kelsey was hiding something from you. But over the years, you've both been overwhelmed by the challenges you face. It has even caused you to lose your will to pursue the truth. In other words, your curiosity about the truth ended with Babel. Babel? Sorry. When did you start thinking to yourself, this is fine? Do you really have the same obsession in the bottom of your heart to recover your memories? As more trust was built, certain truths gradually came to light, which even led you to self-doubt. But the two of you overcame these difficulties, which is why you're here today. But what about before that? Long before you took Amia's hand in Chernobog. Long before Babel. Who are you? What are you? Where are you going? Doctor? Who are you? I'm Rain. There's something I want to tell you, Doctor. The doctor I placed my trust in is one and the same with the doctor who woke up in Chernobog and has fought by our side ever since. That's what I believe. That's what I've always believed. But in reality, Dr. Kelsey and Teresa, did they really see the commander of Babel and the doctor of Rhodes Island as the same person? I don't know. I just don't know. All I remember is the doctor who was so kind to me. The doctor who saved me. If the truth really is as Dr. Kelsey says. Amia. Oh, Dr. Kelsey. The doctor is tired and needs rest. There's much to think about and digest. If there's anything else you'd like to ask, come back tomorrow. Rhodes Island still has a long future ahead of us, so there's no need to rush. Okay. Sorry, Doctor. I'm sure I caught you off guard by asking this out of the blue. Actually, I also want to know. Don't dwell on it too much. There's not much time left before we reach the outskirts of Londinium. But this is the next thing on the itinerary. Itinerary is a meeting between the elite operators, and we'll need you to sit in. Hurry, come this way. Why? Chernobog has fallen into an atypical circumstance with regard to the infected. Rhodes Island, as we are now, cannot afford the risk of getting involved. The doctor will be our indispensable linchpin. Is this when you're talking about worth a dozen or so Rhodes Island lives? If it's worth it, then I'm on board. But if even a single operator raises a concern, then count me out. What? Don't move, Rhodes Island Commander. Now there's nothing but that white-haired feline can do. Even if she could kill the captain. Even if she could kill Patriot. She can't protect you. Have you ever thought about our lives? Have you ever looked at this land from our point of view? Of course not. You don't know a damn thing about the kind of bonds we share. Or how we've said goodbye to our parents. Or how we've painted our cheeks with the ashes of our best friends. Killing a reunion fighter. Depriving someone of his life is just like checking a box for you. Who the hell do you think you are? Have you ever given a serious thought to what it means for us to live and die? No. Watch out, Doctor. Wait, Amia. You're not always the main character of this world, just like your life. Your past, take a look outside of the glass panes of PRTS. You can never understand everything, or be everywhere at once. Only those who face the truth deserve to be called courageous. The ridiculous thing is, You don't have the slightest idea of what the truth is. You've always been kept in the dark. You don't understand it. You're frustrated, even angry at your own ignorance. In the end, what more are you than the projection of the pincer beasts in a bucket around you? They all want to use you for a measure of consolation, to use you for what they want to obtain. The reunion members already impaled by black arts point in the direction of those elite operators. But when you follow their fingertips, you only see a few foul beasts flying by. How many among them faced their own destiny? How many more stood behind Rose Island, eventually becoming arrogant overseers? What about you? You need to completely sever yourself from the past just because you've been shaped up by new memories? Even if you can, how will you reconcile yourself with the new you? The onlookers know nothing about you, yet they want to become you and achieve their vulgar desires through you. Are you truly worthy of trust? Do you need to be entrusted with such a heavy burden? I don't plan on abandoning my forgotten past. But if the past has no way of influencing the present, then I can only see it as insignificant. This is not a matter you can decide on so cavalierly, Doctor. Can a criminal be exonerated of his sins just because he lost his memories? If a good person loses their memories, does that erase the good that she has done? For you in particular, your lost memories are not so simple. Perhaps you yourself are not aware of what you've lost. What manner of answer, then, are you able to provide? Doctor, hand. Take my hand. I will find the meaning within it. It is not the memories of the past that guide me. I am me, just as I always have been. I understand your thought process. Just as you have always been. Choice words from someone who cannot even recall events from a year ago. Even when you can't come to grasp the truths, be it the past or present, it is because you simply know it, not because you remember it, right? You are a completely new person, but don't worry. You are also the version of yourself closest to your true nature, because you've gained the chance to pursue hope once more. I'm truly curious what the future holds for you, Kelsey and Amia. Sadly, it is not a future that I will be part of. Are you Teresa? Don't worry about it. I'm just doing a little favor. After all, I'm just a phantasm born from the debate mechanism. Was I real or fake? Was never that important to begin with. But please remember, whether or not it came from the deepest recesses of your consciousness, just as I always have been, this will become the most important footnote of your life. Only when you truly realize the significance of the words you blurted out can you live up to those who love you and those you love. We should all grasp our own destinies. That way, there will no longer be any such thing as preordained destinies in this land. You are the only antidote, but also the poison that can destroy everything. What truly hinders us is neither originum nor catastrophe, neither sea nor sky, but rather ourselves. Believe in Amia, believe in Kelsey. The dark, endless night is quickly approaching. and you all must become our sole ray of light. Until next time.